My husband screamed that I ruined his daughter's sweet 15th birthday after she cried over her broken gift. I quietly played the footage of her stomping on it while laughing, "She'll just buy me a better one." Now he's pacing in her room, and she has no idea who's waiting behind the door with him. It started with a music box. Not just any music box, a hand-carved mahogany piece with inlaid mother-of-pearl that had been in my family for generations. My grandmother gave it to my mother, who gave it to me when I turned 15. 3 generations of women in my family had received it on their 15th birthday, and despite being a stepmother, I wanted to continue the tradition with Olivia. I'd been married to her father, David, for almost 7 years. I met him when Olivia was 8, and I've spent the better part of a decade trying to build a relationship with her. David's ex-wife passed away when Olivia was only 6, so I never had to deal with the classic evil ex scenario, but Olivia made it clear from day one that she didn't want a replacement mother. I tried to respect that boundary. I never pushed her to call me mom or forced family bonding activities. I was just there. Consistent. Caring from a distance when needed, and stepping in when invited. It was a delicate dance, but over the years, I thought we'd made progress. Then came Olivia's 15th birthday. David and I had discussed the gifts extensively. He bought her the latest iPhone, designer clothes, and concert tickets to see her favorite band. I decided to give her something more personal, my grandmother's music box. The night before her birthday, I wrapped it carefully in silver paper with a lavender ribbon. It wasn't flashy like David's gifts, but it was meaningful. I attached a card explaining the significance, hoping she would understand the gesture for what it was, an invitation, not an obligation. My way of saying she was family to me, even if I wasn't trying to replace her mother. The birthday party was a lavish affair. David's guilt for working so much manifested in extravagance. 50 of Olivia's closest friends, a DJ, catering, the works. She was the quintessential birthday princess in her new designer dress, surrounded by adoring friends who laughed at her every joke and complimented her every move. When gift time came, she tore through packages with the excitement of someone who had never been told no in her life. The new iPhone elicited genuine squeals. The concert tickets prompted hugs for her father. Then came my box. "What's this?" she asked, eyeing the small silver package suspiciously. "Open it," I said, trying to keep my voice light. "It's something special." The room had quieted somewhat. Her friends watched with idle curiosity as she peeled back the wrapping paper. When she lifted the lid and saw the music box, her expression flickered, confusion, then disappointment, quickly masked with a polite smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Oh. Thanks," she said flatly, already reaching for the next gift. "Wait," I said, stopping her with a gentle hand. "It's a music box that's been in my family for generations. My grandmother gave it to my mother, who gave it to me on my 15th birthday. I wanted you to have it." She looked at me then, really looked at me, and for a moment I thought I saw something genuine in her eyes, maybe not gratitude, but recognition of the gesture's significance. She carefully placed it aside and continued with her other gifts. Later, as the party wound down and guests started leaving, I noticed the music box had disappeared from the gift table. I assumed Olivia had taken it to her room, which gave me a small flutter of hope. That hope was short-lived. 3 days after the party, Olivia came downstairs for breakfast with red-rimmed eyes. "What's wrong, honey?" David asked, immediately on alert. She sniffled dramatically. "The music box. It's broken." My heart sank. "What happened?" "I don't know," she said, voice trembling. "I just found it like that this morning. The lid is cracked, and it won't play music anymore." David immediately wrapped his arm around her. "We'll get it fixed, sweetheart." "But that's not the point," she said, tears spilling over. "It was special, and now it's ruined." I felt sick to my stomach. That music box had survived 2 world wars, the Great Depression, and countless moves. It had been played regularly for over 100 years without breaking. And now, after 3 days with Olivia, it was suddenly damaged? "Can I see it?" I asked, trying to keep my voice neutral. "It's in my room," she mumbled. I went upstairs to check the damage. The beautiful mahogany lid had a jagged crack running through it, and the delicate mechanism inside was crushed, clearly from force, not age or accident. This wasn't coincidental damage, someone had deliberately broken it. As I held the pieces in my hands, I felt a cold clarity wash over me. I'd suspected for years that Olivia's sweet facade hid something darker, something David refused to see. This confirmed it. I took the broken music box downstairs where David and Olivia were sitting at the kitchen island. Olivia's tears had magically dried up as she scrolled through her phone, but they returned on cue when she saw me. "This wasn't an accident," I said quietly, setting the pieces on the counter. "Someone broke this deliberately." David's expression hardened. "What are you implying?" Before I could answer, Olivia burst into fresh tears. "You think I did this on purpose? Why would I? It's not like I even wanted that old thing." And there it was, the truth slipping out in her moment of defensive anger. "What did you just say?" I asked. David stood up, positioning himself between us. "That's enough. She's upset, and you're making accusations." "I'm not making accusations," I replied, keeping my voice steady. "I'm stating facts. This music box survived 100 years without breaking. The damage isn't from wear and tear, it's from someone deliberately smashing the mechanism." "So what, you installed cameras in my room now?" Olivia sneered, her tears vanishing as quickly as they had appeared. "No," I said. "But I did install a security system in the house 3 months ago. Remember? After that string of break-ins in the neighborhood?" David frowned. "What does that have to do with anything?" I pulled out my phone and opened the security app. "The cameras caught something interesting the night after your party, Olivia." Her face drained of color. I turned the phone toward them and pressed play. The footage was crystal clear, Olivia in her room, holding the music box. At first, she seemed to be examining it with curiosity, opening it to hear the tune. Then her expression changed. She looked at the door as if to make sure no one was coming, then deliberately dropped the box to the floor. When it didn't break to her satisfaction, she stepped on it, crushing the mechanism with her heel. "I don't need her stupid family heirloom," she said to herself, laughing. "Dad will feel so bad about this that he'll probably make her buy me something way better." David watched the footage in stunned silence, his face growing progressively paler. When it ended, he looked at his daughter as if seeing her for the first time. "Olivia," he whispered. "Tell me that's not real." She crossed her arms defensively. "It's just a stupid old music box. Who cares?" "I care," he said, his voice breaking. "That belonged to her family for generations." Olivia rolled her eyes. "So what? She's not even my real mom. Why should I have to take her hand-me-downs when you buy me brand new everything?" I remained silent, letting them have this moment. This was something David needed to handle. "Go to your room," he said finally, his voice unnaturally calm. "We'll discuss this later." "But Dad, now." She stomped upstairs, slamming her door hard enough to rattle the pictures on the wall. David collapsed onto a bar stool, head in his hands. "I'm so sorry," he whispered. "I had no idea she could be so cruel." "I know," I said, gathering the broken pieces of the music box. "But now you do." The next few days were tense. David tried to talk to Olivia, but she alternated between defiant indifference and calculated tears. She insisted I was trying to drive a wedge between her and her father, that I'd always been jealous of their relationship. "She probably broke it herself just to make me look bad," I overheard her telling David one night. "The video clearly shows you breaking it," he responded tiredly. "She could have edited it." Their arguments went in circles. I stayed out of it, giving David space to parent his daughter without my interference. But I also didn't pretend everything was fine. I didn't cook Olivia's favorite meals or do her laundry or edit her school papers like I normally would. I stepped back, letting natural consequences take their course. A week after the incident, David came to me with determination in his eyes. "We need to talk about Olivia," he said. I nodded, setting aside my book. "I'm listening." "I've been blind," he admitted, sitting beside me on the couch. "Not just about the music box, but about everything. The way she speaks to you when I'm not around, the way she manipulates situations. I've let it go on too long." I took his hand. "She lost her mother young. It's natural for her to have complicated feelings." "Stop making excuses for her," he said firmly. "That's what I've been doing for years, and look where it's gotten us. She's 15 years old enough to know right from wrong. So what do you want to do?" He squeezed my hand. "I have an idea, but I need your help." The plan was simple. David would tell Olivia he had a surprise for her 15th birthday, a do-over gift to make up for the disappointment of the music box. She would be thrilled, of course, believing she had won. "Meet me in your room at 4 o'clock, he told her at breakfast. "I have something special planned." She practically bounced with excitement. "What is it? Can't you tell me now?" "That would ruin the surprise," he said with a warm smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. "Just be in your room at 4. I spent the day at my sister's house, ostensibly giving father and daughter space for their surprise. In reality, I was picking up the final piece of our plan. My sister Rachel had been a furniture restorer for 20 years. When I brought her the broken music box the day after the incident, she'd shaken her head sadly. "The mechanism is completely destroyed," she said. "And the wood is split along the grain. I can make it look whole again, but it will never play music the way it used to." "That's all right," I said. "Just do your best." And she had. The repaired box looked almost new, the crack in the lid barely visible, the exterior polished to a high shine. Only the music was gone, the delicate pins and cylinder that had created the melody for a century now irreparable. Like trust, Once broken, some things can appear whole again but are fundamentally changed forever. I returned home at 3:30, the repaired music box in a simple bag. David met me at the door, his expression solemn. "Is everything ready?" I asked. He nodded. "She's been in her room all day, texting her friends about what her amazing dad might have bought her this time." "And the other part?" "They're here. Waiting in the guest room." I took a deep breath. "Then let's do this." At 4 o'clock sharp, David knocked on Olivia's bedroom door. I stood a few feet back, out of sight, but close enough to hear. "Come in," she called excitedly. David entered, and I heard Olivia's disappointed "oh" when she realized he wasn't carrying any packages. "Where's my surprise?" she asked. "I need to talk to you first," he said, his voice serious. "About what?" "About the music box." I heard her exasperated sigh. "Are we still on that?" I said I was sorry. "No, you didn't. Not once." A pause. "Well, I am. Sorry. There, happy now? Can I have my surprise?" "Olivia," David said, his voice steady, "I want you to understand something. That music box wasn't just some random gift. It represented Sarah's acceptance of you as family. It was her way of saying she cares about you, that she considers you her daughter. But she's not. Let me finish. What you did wasn't just disrespectful to Sarah. It was cruel. Deliberately cruel. And then you lied about it, tried to make her look bad, and showed zero remorse even after being caught." "Dad, I'm not finished," he said firmly. "I've been thinking a lot about how we got here. What role I played in this. And I realized I failed you as a father." Her voice turned immediately contrite. "No, Dad, you haven't. You're the best dad ever." "No, I'm not. A good father teaches his children values like respect, honesty, and gratitude. I've been so focused on making sure you had things that I forgot to make sure you had character." I could hear her starting to cry, real tears this time, not the manufactured ones she produced on command. "Dad, please, I'm sorry. I'll apologize to Sarah. I'll be better." "I hope so," he said softly. "Because there are consequences to how we treat people." That was my cue. I entered the room, the repaired music box in my hands. Olivia's tear-streaked face registered confusion. "Sarah? What are you doing here?" "I brought you something," I said, setting the music box on her desk. She stared at it, then at me. "You fixed it?" "My sister did," I corrected. "The outside, at least. It will never play music again. The mechanism was too damaged." Olivia had the decency to look ashamed. "I'm really sorry," she whispered. "I don't know why I did it." "I think you do," I said gently. "You did it because you could. Because you thought there would be no consequences. Because you've been taught that your feelings are more important than other people's treasures." David moved to stand beside me, a united front. "But there are always consequences, Olivia. Sometimes they're just delayed." "What? What do you mean?" she asked, looking between us nervously. David walked to her bedroom door and opened it. "You can come in now," he called. And through the door walked my sister Rachel, followed by my mother, and then my elderly grandmother in her wheelchair, pushed by my youngest sister, Bethany. Olivia's eyes widened. "Who are they?" "This is my family," I said. "My sisters Rachel and Bethany, my mother Helen, and my grandmother Cordelia. The woman who first owned that music box." Grandma Cordelia fixed Olivia with a penetrating stare that had cowed generations of children. At 92, she was still sharp as a tack and took no nonsense from anyone. "So," she said in her crisp voice, "you're the girl who destroyed my music box." Olivia seemed to shrink under her gaze. I didn't mean to." "Don't lie to me, child. I've seen the video." My mother stepped forward. "That music box survived the bombing of London during World War II. My mother was just a little girl then, hiding in the underground with nothing but that box and the clothes on her back. It survived the fire that took our first home," Rachel added. "It was one of the only things we managed to save. It was played at each of our weddings," Bethany said. "And at our father's funeral." Grandma Cordelia wheeled herself closer to Olivia. "That box wasn't just wood and metal, child. It was a piece of our history. Our family's story." Olivia was crying now, real tears of shame. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I didn't know." "No," Grandma agreed. "You didn't. Because you didn't care to know. You saw something old and assumed it had no value because it wasn't shiny and new." David placed a hand on my shoulder. "I want you to understand, Olivia, that when you married Sarah, I didn't just get a wife. I got her entire family. These people are now your family too, whether you choose to acknowledge them or not. And family," my mother said firmly, "does not destroy family heirlooms out of spite." Olivia looked as if she wanted the floor to open up and swallow her whole. I'll pay for it, she offered desperately. I'll use my allowance. Some things can't be bought, Grandma Cordelia said. Some things, once broken, can never truly be fixed. I knelt in front of Olivia, taking her trembling hands in mine. But people can change, I said softly. People can learn and grow and make amends. She looked up at me, her face streaked with tears. How? How can I fix this? You can start, David said, by understanding the value of things beyond their price tag. And by treating people with respect, even when you think no one is watching. Grandma Cordelia nodded approvingly. And then, young lady, you can come visit me. Every Sunday for the next year. I have stories to tell you, about that music box, about our family, about what really matters in this world. Every Sunday? Olivia asked, wide-eyed. Every single one, David confirmed. No phones, no friends, no distractions. Just you and Cordelia, talking. And listening, Grandma added pointedly. Lots of listening. The drive to my grandmother's retirement community was silent. Olivia sat in the back seat, staring out the window, her normally active phone untouched in her lap. David had confiscated all her electronics as part of her punishment, allowing her only a basic flip phone for emergencies. When we arrived, Grandma was waiting on her porch, a photo album open on her lap. She'd been a force of nature in her younger years, a civil rights activist, a teacher, a world traveler, and even at 92, she commanded respect. Right on time, she nodded approvingly. Come sit, Olivia. I have stories to tell you. Olivia looked at us uncertainly. We'll be back at 5, David said, not unkindly. Listen more than you speak. We left them there, Olivia perched awkwardly on the porch swing, Grandma already launched into a story about her childhood in post-war England. Do you think this will work? I asked David as we drove away. He took my hand. If anyone can get through to her, it's Cordelia. That woman raised 4 daughters during the hardest of times and never once broke. Unlike my music box, I said with a small smile. I'm still so sorry about that. I know. But maybe something good can come of it. Maybe this is what Olivia needed, to understand that actions have consequences, that people have histories, that things have stories. And that stepmothers have families who love them, he added softly. The change didn't happen overnight. The first few Sundays, Olivia was sullen and withdrawn, answering Grandma's questions with minimal words. But Grandma was patient and persistent, continuing her stories whether Olivia seemed interested or not. By the 3rd Sunday, Olivia was asking questions. By the 5th, she was bringing a notebook to write things down. By the 8th, she was arriving with questions prepared, genuinely interested in Grandma's life and the history of our family. At home, she was different too. Quieter, more thoughtful. She started helping with dinner without being asked. She stopped slamming doors. She even began saying please and thank you, small things that shouldn't have felt revolutionary but somehow did. One evening, about 3 months after the music box incident, she knocked on our bedroom door. Can I talk to you? She asked, looking directly at me, not David. Of course. David moved to leave, but she stopped him. You can stay, Dad. You should hear this too. She sat on the edge of our bed, hands twisting nervously in her lap. I've been thinking a lot about what I did. With the music box. I nodded, waiting. I was jealous, she admitted. Not of you, exactly. But of what you represented. This whole other life that Dad had that didn't include Mom. David started to speak, but she held up a hand. Let me finish. I thought if I pushed you away enough, everything would go back to how it was before. But Grandma Cordelia helped me understand that's not how life works. We don't get to go back, we can only go forward. She reached into her pocket and pulled out a small, tissue-wrapped package. I can't replace what I broke. But I wanted to give you this. Inside was a delicate silver locket. When I opened it, I found a tiny photo of my grandmother as a young woman on one side, and my mother on the other, the same photos that had been displayed inside the music box's lid. Grandma Cordelia gave me copies, Olivia explained. I saved up from doing chores at her retirement community to buy the locket. I thought, maybe you could continue the tradition differently. Maybe someday you could add a picture of yourself. And then, when I'm older and less stupid, maybe my daughter could add hers too. I felt tears welling in my eyes. Olivia, this is beautiful. It's not the same as the music box, she said, looking down. I know that. But Grandma says family traditions sometimes need to change to survive. Like how she had to leave England to start a new life here. David was watching his daughter with unmistakable pride. That's very thoughtful, Olivia. There's something else, she added, pulling out her phone, returned to her the week before as she'd proven more responsible. I've been recording Grandma's stories. With her permission, she added quickly. I thought. Maybe we could put them together somehow. Like an oral history of your family. I couldn't help it, I pulled her into a hug. After a moment's hesitation, she hugged me back. I'm really sorry, she whispered. For everything. I know, I said. And I forgive you. A year after the incident, we celebrated Olivia's 16th birthday with a much smaller gathering, just family. My sisters were there, my mother, and of course, Grandma Cordelia holding court from her wheelchair. The broken music box sat on our mantel, not hidden away, but displayed prominently as a reminder. Not of betrayal, but of growth. It no longer played music, but it had taught a more important lesson than any melody could convey. Olivia had become Grandma's most devoted apprentice, spending hours recording her stories, scanning old photographs, and creating a digital archive of our family history. She'd even started interviewing other residents at the retirement community, preserving their stories too. You know, Grandma said to me as we watched Olivia showing my mother how to use a new app on her phone, sometimes the most beautiful things come from broken places. I thought about the jagged crack in the music box, now filled with gold lacquer in the Japanese tradition of kintsugi, treating breakage as part of the object's history rather than something to hide. She's going to be okay, I said, watching my stepdaughter laugh with my mother. Grandma patted my hand. Better than okay. She's going to be extraordinary. The music box would never play its tune again. But in its silence, a different kind of harmony had emerged, one of understanding, forgiveness, and the complex melody of family. Not perfect, not unbroken, but strong in the mended places. And that, I realized, was the greatest gift of all.